How do I get the most out of my ETEK 5? This question has probably been asked by every owner so far, but what most people don't know is that the answers come in the box with the gun. They're in the manual. But do you have the time to read the manual, however awesome it is? You probably don't, and it can be tedious. But I'm here to help. So, the first thing I like to adjust as far as comfort goes is the trigger, because it's one of the things you feel, and they can actually change the performance of the gun very significantly. So, start with the tension. The tension screw is clockwise for a stronger pull and counterclockwise for a weaker pull. So, tight and loose basically, respectively. Then, this is where you gotta work hard. You've got to find the activation point for the post-travel adjustment. Once you do, I recommend adjusting from there. If you do anything beforehand, you could probably have your trigger pull and not activate, so just be careful on how you work this thing out. You could have the trigger stop at activation or go a bit further. It's up to you. It's all taste. Then we want to look for the trigger pull length, basically. That is the screw that's right next to the tension adjustment. Basically, a clockwise screw-in would be a shorter pull, and a counterclockwise screw-in would be a longer pull. I like a long and loose pull if you want to know my opinion on these things. Just be sure to get a good feel and trigger with both hands before you jump into the field and realize that you adjusted the trigger the wrong way, something you don't want. Then there's everything that affects how precise your gun is. Cleanliness, maintenance, proper paint choices, all that. There's a link on the screen for a video I made on that already, so click on it. Don't worry, this video won't close since the other one will open in a different window, so go ahead. Here's a quick maintenance tip. If you oil your bolt the night before play until it's shiny, the Delrin will absorb all the oil it has to. Then, the morning of play, you wipe off the excess oil. This will help your bolt perform a bit better. Now let's talk tuning. I've already made a video about tuning the ETEK 5, but this time we're going to actually tune it. So if you want to see how to tune it, click the link above. But if you already know, come with me to the field and let's get in depth.
Alright, so there's a few things to tuning your ETEK 5 that you need to keep in mind. The factory setting already has the gun tuned, but there are different ways you can achieve different levels of smoothness. So right now we have our ETEK 5 set to factory. I'm gonna show you on the chrono. 285, 297, 292, 294, 295. So that's very consistent right there. Everything is at factory setting, but the high pressure regulator. Obviously that was a bit boosted. But let's say if I want my shot to be a bit smoother, there's something I can do about it, and I'm going to show you right now.
But to do so, let's take a look at the manual first and see how everything works. Our air from our tank goes through the macro line into the HPR. And from the HPR, it goes to the LPR. The LPR drives air pressure into our solenoid, and our solenoid projects the rammer forward. And then the strength behind the rammer is what pushes the poppet open, releasing air into the bolt, through the breech, and out the barrel, and obviously projecting our paintball.
We've got our toolkit and we're going to adjust the LPR. Now, if we raise the pressure on the LPR, which means we twist it counterclockwise, we can drop the dwell. And if we drop the dwell, we can get a snappier, faster shot. For example, if you like to play semi-auto, it feels more responsive to have a lower dwell. Sure, a difference of 6 to 7 milliseconds isn't going to really feel like 6 or 7 is very, very, very small. It's basically the lowest setting is 8 on the ETEK 5. So if we set our setting to 8, and right now this tank's pressure is set to 650 to 700 psi, and yeah, the way we adjust the LPR is we turn it counterclockwise, sorry. So we have a quarter turn. Now after that, what we're gonna do, we're going to change the dwell on the gun. And we've adjusted it Let's see how the ETEK 5 performs. Let's grab our chrono. Let's chrono it.
If we take a good look at our shots, at the consistency we're getting, disregarding the first shot because that one had a little more power behind the rammer, there we can see that the consistency was at about 220s, which is actually good. We had good consistency, but because of that first shot that had more air pressure, I now know that all I have to do is boost up the LPR a little bit to put a little more air behind the rammer, therefore allowing the poppet to be sunken completely, because right now this is what we're hearing. That sound reminds me of the failed blowback on a Tipman or a Spider, which usually means low air pressure. Now, I know that there's low air pressure in the air spring behind the rammer. Now, before you tune your own gun, I want to say a few things just so that you don't have problems here and there. Okay, first thing is that you're sweet spotted if you're getting consistent shots. If you're not getting consistent shots, that means you've got to play around with the dwell or the LPR. Usually I'll suggest to drop the HPR pressure, because in case you do make a mistake, you don't overpressurize your solenoid, which is never a good thing because you might just fry it. So what I suggest doing is, if you want a softer shot, go to the factory setting on the dwell and the LPR. It's all in the manual, and slowly increase dwell, right? So let's say starting dwell is 12, we go to 12.5, and then at 12.5 we find the sweet spot with the LPR. So we adjust the LPR, we add a quarter turn, shoot it a bit, see if it's consistent, add a quarter turn, shoot it a bit, see if it's consistent. That's how you want to do it. And if you don't think the shot's smooth enough for you, try again, try again, try again, until you get the shot you want. It's important that you're honest to yourself in what you want. Don't expect your ETEK 5 to shoot like a Lux. It's just not going to happen.
Now that we've got our gun tuned, and I feel like it shoots just right, we're gonna take a few shots over there. Let's chrono it first, before anything else. Bay. 288, 281, 286, 285, 285, 284, 285, 282, 286, 281. Yeah, very consistent. So now, let's go for it. And we're out of paint. Yep, that's it. So basically, what do I think about that? Well, it's, as far as smoothness goes, I don't think you're going to get much smoother than what you get out of the box. The gun is already literally sweet spotted. But you can move that sweet spot towards a softer shot, and that could change your performance a bit. What really matters is keeping your gun clean, keeping it healthy, training with it, getting a good feel for it. That's the best tuning you can do for your gun. The best tuning you can do for your gun is being deadly with it.